Any advice that you have for a parent or a young athlete? How can they best support their athletes on their mental fitness journey or as they work on reaching their next level?
I feel like something I see right now a lot is
Today we have Megan Flom, who I'm so excited to talk about because of her diverse background as an athlete, teacher, and coach.
through my mental fitness journey, it definitely made me feel normal, should I say? Not alone. Just knowing you belong definitely was a big part in my journey. Just believing in myself and knowing I have more potential than I'm giving myself credit for, and just having confidence in myself for sure.
Hello, welcome to the Next Level Advantage Show. Today we have Megan Flom, who I'm so excited to talk about because of her diverse background as an athlete, teacher, and coach. Welcome, Megan. So glad you're here. Thank you for making it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you have so much expertise in the areas that we try to talk about really helping athletes get to the next level. So I was really excited when you said yes, because I feel like you have such a diverse way of looking at all of these questions that we're going to talk about today, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So Megan, tell me about your playing career at the college level, maybe even at the club level as well, and how did mental fitness was part of your journey?
Yeah, so I originally grew up in a small little town in Minnesota where I played both basketball and volleyball. And from there, I saw some of my friends and my sister started playing club volleyball down in Rochester. I was like, oh, maybe that would be fun. I like volleyball. I'm kind of good at it. So I went and I played club and I made one of their top teams. And I had the 2 years, I only played club for 2 years, but the 2 years I was there, I had a really awesome coach who didn't necessarily talk specifically mental fitness, but she was a very supportive coach. And then from there, I got recruited and went through the whole recruiting process and went and played at Winona State. I didn't start working with you guys until I think it was my junior year. But my first 2 years, I definitely, and throughout club and high school, felt the pressures and the anxiety and the stress and all those things, but I didn't necessarily know what to do with it. I thought I was just like, oh no, why am I feeling this way? I feel like my friends don't feel this way. They don't get nervous before games. And I kind of just was stuck with it and kept it to myself. And then after working with you guys, it definitely made me open my eyes and realize I'm not the only one. A lot of people and most people do deal with it. And we've worked through some strategies of like visualization and breathing and all that stuff. And using that in helping me to lower my stress levels, lower my anxiety, definitely helped me in my play. And then my junior and my senior year were my most successful seasons at Winona State. So yeah.
Yeah, so what a journey. But I just want to also point out, so your senior year, you were All-American, right?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, congrats. So I want to point out that to the audience as well, whoever is watching this, that how the journey went from your freshman, sophomore year and how you peaked your junior and senior year. And with All-American, which is a big achievement.
Yeah, I definitely, like coming in my freshman year, there was a group of seniors who were experienced and really talented. So even my freshman year, I didn't really play much on the court and just kind of worked on getting better. In my sophomore year, I had a role, but it wasn't very permanent. And then my junior and senior year, I was able to get All-American both years. So definitely just a learning experience as I went on and grew as an athlete and as a person. So
Absolutely. Love it.
That's one of the things that stands out the most to me, even between your junior season and your senior season, seeing you put in those mental fitness reps and like really come into your role too. And I think the team coming together as well, because the team was also participating, I think, in different conversations. And we were working with Joe, who I also played for Joe, and Megan played for Joe. So we had a lot of synergy in how we knew what to expect from Joe and how his unique way of coaching, but how it really demands excellence.
Yep.
And sometimes that's really nerve-wracking. And
Yep.
sometimes it's really awesome. And it makes us reach levels we never knew we could. But I wonder if you can kind of remember or think about like the difference between your junior year and your senior year, and maybe what felt different for you, if there was anything.
Yeah. I think it was just the confidence. Even my junior year, there was only one senior ahead of me. So technically I was an upperclassman, but I still feel like I didn't really have a role in being a leader because I didn't really believe in myself and with like the stress that I put on myself. But as I got into my senior year, and we had the COVID year in there because I stayed for 5 years. So I feel like that also helped giving me a year under my belt of working through all this stuff. But I felt more of a leader and more confident in myself and had tools to set myself up for success.
Yeah, I feel like it just showed. And I think confidence is kind of the word that I would say too. It just like, we tell people confidence is an emotion, but I really feel like you captured that emotion more. Like, I even feel like I've seen differences in like the photos of you, your junior year versus your senior year, and like your posture at the net and like the way you carried yourself. And I think I even remember having like a practice conversation with you, like, you're a baddie, like, gotta like it, you know? And then so we started, like, I really remember like kind of this ownership piece felt like it kind of came on your senior year. And I agree, like COVID kind of gave everyone a respite of like recentering, like, why am I doing this? You know, and just kind of a break from the norms. And it was really cool to watch that happen.
Yeah.
So Megan, looking back, let's just talk about mental fitness. What was your fitness before in college, even in club? And what is your mental fitness now? From knowing you, you're a school teacher, right? You're a club coach. You are going for your graduate. You're doing a lot of things in your life right now. How is mental fitness helping you day to day now? What is the comparison like? What does it feel like if you can rate it? Like anything like that?
So definitely as an athlete, I feel like when I was in high school and club, I was more of a free player. I feel like I didn't necessarily put pressure on myself. But it wasn't until I got to college where mental fitness really came into play and was good for me because I had that stress that I would put on myself, the pressure I'd put on myself, the anxiety I would feel, and just having the tools to be successful, like in a game, if I was feeling that anxiety. And a lot of times for me, it would come before the game, the anticipation of what was going to happen. Because usually when I got into a game, everything worked out fine, but I would just play it up in my head like a bigger thing. So working through the breathing and work on visualization. A lot of times before I'd go to bed, if we were on road trips or if we were on a bus, I would visualize myself playing in a game. And it actually really helped me because I knew what I was doing. I just played it up to be a bigger thing. And definitely now as a coach and as a teacher, working with kids, it's good to have the awareness of what they could be going through, what they're feeling. I work in a school district where there's a lot of kids who have trauma and hard things that they're going through. So just being able to empathize with them and understand what they're going through and helping them through that is super, super helpful to have that as my experience as an athlete and help my athletes and my students go through that. And then with being so busy in life, it's hard. Sometimes I catch myself just stressing myself or like not giving myself time to relax or take time for myself. So I think I could be better in my mental fitness for myself right now in life, but it definitely helps me as a teacher and as a coach for sure.
I love that because I think, honestly, I think as an athlete, your empathy was one of your superpowers as a teammate and a leader. So I love hearing that that's happening with the students, and I can't even imagine how they love Miss Flom, because I just think like you've always had that ability to put yourself in people's shoes, and knowing that you come from a district that really has more kids that require that. And even on the club or high school court, like kids that just know you care, kind of like the first thing in building that bridge of connection and performance. So I think, yes, and welcome to like the adult club. We could all do more mental fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like you really
Right.
have to have that effort and have people that are reminding you or yourself. And so we empathize. We try to continue to add it back on our plate all the time and make sure we're serving from a full cup because you are serving a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually catch myself when I'm empty that I'm like, oh my goodness, like I need to take time, I need to do this. But I think just being more aware of and taking the time, like you said, and have a full cup and throughout the week, even though I have a whole bunch of things to do, I can take time to really work on that for sure.
Since we've worked with you, Ray and I, really Ray's idea, we came up with what's called a mental fitness target. Mm-hmm. So we actually try to take like the amount of time we're dedicated to something and times that by 10% and then make that a minute per day thing. So like in this case, you're teaching and coaching, like what would even be the amount of hours that you're putting into that a lot?
I guess I leave for work at 7:30, and then with coaching high school right now, I usually get home at 7. I make myself dinner. This past week when I started my grad program, I've had a lot of homework to do, and those are just nights I have practices. If we have games, I usually don't get home until 9. So I try to take time in the car or at lunch to kind of take time for myself, but it is definitely a lot because then by that time I'm tired, I go to sleep and then start it all over again. So
yeah, and that's where we've tried to make it really flexible. So like you're talking about almost 60 hours a week that you're putting in. And so that would be like 6 hours. And then, you know, that would be an hour a day or 6 hours on a Sunday where you go do something you enjoy or, you know, just those little respites. But kind of having a target in mind, I think helps because then it's on your radar as a physical number versus like, oh, I need to take care of myself. And then all of a sudden, like a week goes by and you're like, I don't think I did anything. I'm like debt negative. So I think, you know, sometimes like having that in mind has been helpful for us. And maybe it's something you can give a shot at and see if you can find those little windows. Sounds like you are, but
I'm such a planner and I like to get ahead of things. So I'm like, well, I have a free moment. Let's do this. But definitely would be better to prioritize myself too. So
I find as you get busier, you almost have to put it on the calendar. I think same as the athletes that we're talking about, you know, before the call, we were just talking about how we went and worked with their alma mater. And this was something we started establishing with them is like the me. How am I taking care of myself so I can contribute to the we, you know? And so it's just like, it's hard when you have that server's heart because you really have to buckle down and be disciplined and be like, okay, I gotta count too.
And finding those little nuggets, you know, just like when you take lunch, finding a little nugget maybe outside with fresh air, right? Those little things just add up, you know, like when we our son soccer's game, it's nothing like fresh grass, right? So we just take off our shoes and be barefoot for a couple hours. I mean, take advantage of it. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take off my shoes and be barefoot, you know, while I watch soccer.
But whatever.
I don't care. No, now there's other parents hanging out with us. There's a whole row of us just barefoot.
Just
They're like,
recruiting.
it's like barefoot parents here.
Recruiting mental fitness. I love this. This is good.
I'm like, just take your shoes off. We're all right. We'll talk for a bit.
I love
We have an hour. Let's do something.
Might as well. So Megan, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about when coaching kind of entered onto your radar as something you wanted to do. And if you could talk a little bit about this generation that you're working with. I think we talked about you're working with a few generations. Just kind of what are you seeing as through a coach's eyes versus through an athlete's eyes?
So I guess since I was little, I always knew I kind of wanted to be a teacher. And as I grew up and was involved in volleyball, especially when I got to college, it's a perfect profession if you want to be a coach, just with schedules. So I knew I always wanted to be a coach. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do it my first year of teaching, and I needed to get to know the coaches and the people in the school district I was in. And I actually, so I moved up to the cities. I'm currently in the cities. And one of my friend's cousins was coaching at Northern Lights, the volleyball club up here, and sent me a message and was like, hey, I heard you're moving up here. Would you be interested in coaching with me? And I was like, oh, like, I don't know. It was still my first year of teaching. Then I was like, why not? Like, I want to be involved in volleyball somehow. So I told her yes. So my first year I started coaching club, and then through that, there was another coach there who just had gotten a varsity head coach position, and she had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to coach with her at her high school. So I said yes. So it's a different district than when I teach in, but it's still high school. So it's been super fun. And looking back now, if I hadn't said yes to coaching club, like I wouldn't have had the connection. So I'm glad I said yes. And I've always knew I wanted to be involved. So it's been great. And the girls that I coach right now, one thing I would say about them is they're very passionate, especially the high school group of girls I'm coaching right now. You see a lot of kids specializing and playing club and doing a whole bunch of stuff, which is the case for the team I coach. And they're very passionate about volleyball. The coach that coached them last year was like, I tried to cancel a practice last year and they got so mad they wanted to be in the gym. So I'm like, okay, no, kid, like I won't try to do that. But they always want to get better. Like they'll make one error and they're looking at me. They're like, Megan, what can I fix? What should I do? And I'm like, just don't be too hard on yourself. But they're really passionate and they want to be better, which is really fun.
Nice.
Wow. that's like very special to
Yeah.
have kids that are that competitive and like love what they're doing. How do you think that culture is created in your high school gym?
I think the coaching staff we have now, this is our second year together, but I think we've done a really good job of building a culture. Our word for this year is actually culture. And every week the head coach has a culture chat with all the teams and they talk about different things. So we've talked about discipline. We've talked about goal setting. They really have each other's backs. Like the team I have right now, they really care about each other. And I think just building that culture, and although it's only our second year there, they know we care about them. So then they care about each other and it's really great.
I mean, I think that is like the exception to the norm. Like we want to keep finding environments that do that. And it sounds like you guys have nailed it. We call that athlete quotient, just like that ability for the athlete to really want to go after their best, but understand what it means to be part of a we culture, and then still being able to take care of those me things. And it sounds like there's really hit a sweet spot. And I did not know that you always wanted to coach, but that makes a lot of sense after watching you play, that you already had that lens of kind of pedagogy, teaching, coaching. I really feel like that it like makes me smile thinking about you as a player, because I think you really did look at the game that way. And like I mentioned earlier, that empathy for your teammates was already kind of a coaching heart, and, you know, kind of leading the way by, hey guys, this is the strategy, let's do it, you know, and like with clarity. So that's awesome to kind of put all that together. I love that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to share is part of the show we always want to keep on the back burner. Like we're trying to reach out to the new generations and how they can reach their next level. So I'm making a note to myself on that too. Like what I'm just thinking about that 15, 16-year-old out there, or the parent that might have a 15, 16-year-old that is like, how can they reach the next level? Everybody wants it so bad. And sometimes they're just clueless, you know, they might be hitting a wall and they're like, how do you do it? just like the athletes that you're talking about. It's like, how do you do that, coach? And it's like, you're going to give 5,000 reps. Just do it again.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like get out your own way.
It's definitely hard, but they want it. And I think too, like we've talked about, prioritizing the mental side of it too, because it's just go, go, go all the time. As athletes playing club, playing high school, which I've experienced too. But I think just like taking a break and believing in yourself, because they get so down on themselves. They're like, oh, I just want to be perfect right away. And they don't understand that it takes time and it takes reps, like you just said. So yeah.
What is something specific that you feel like you say or do to support that part of them that is just so eager and passionate to get it, but obviously you learn through failure, which is a really hard lesson as a developing athlete? Is there anything you feel like you try to lean on or say or go to when they're struggling with that, or that you would recommend to an athlete when they're in that place? Because we've all been there.
Sometimes I catch myself as a coach and a former player of just like wanting to correct all the little things all the time. So I think in those moments, I kind of just take a step back and I tell them, I'm like, you know, you have it. You know what to do. Just go do it. Like, I'm not going to tell you the specifics you need to do. Just go play volleyball. And that really does help, because when I give them like 20 different things to think about, that's when they get in their minds, and that's when things get confusing and they get frustrated. So just to play freely and believe in themselves, believe in each other, and really just build that culture with each other.
I couldn't love it more. It's so good for their long-term learning too, for them to find those answers. And obviously as mentors, we're there to help them if they don't have a strategy, but to their benefit, they're the smartest generations we've ever raised. So they have a strategy. They just need to be encouraged to use it. I think because of your background in teaching and coaching, you're like, you got it.
Yeah.
Which is hard sometimes to let go, but that's when the magic happens, I feel like, because then they get to own it instead of crediting their coach or, you know, somebody else. It's like, I did that. I figured it out. And I think that's a really important piece with Gen Z and Gen Alpha right now, because they are so stressed, and because their confidence emotion is so up and down, because it's constantly being compared to somebody else, or it's on social media and somebody's better than me. Or, I mean, I even watch college athletes looking up to other college athletes because of social media, you know, I mean, it's just a totally different world. And I think like them really feeling that sense of ownership is just where it's at, because then they get to continue that as they evolve through their playing career. So I love that.
So let me ask you this. I love asking this question. I love all the answers that we get. So what advice would you give yourself to that younger self?
Yeah, definitely. I talked about this earlier, but confidence and realizing my potential. I think I was at a young age just complacent with like, oh, like I'm good at volleyball. This is fun. And which is good because not always do you need to go play on a higher level, but I knew I liked volleyball. And even like going through the recruiting process and starting that and going to a club, like the only reason I started playing at a club, I went to the tryouts because my sister was trying out and the coach was like, oh, you should try out. And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, no, do it. And through that, I really realized like, oh, I could go farther if I push myself, if I have the confidence. And 15-year-old Megan definitely didn't understand the potential I had. So if I had to go back, just believing in myself and knowing I have more potential than I'm giving myself credit for, and just having confidence in myself for sure.
I love that. So how did you gain that confidence? Did it came through reps or through playing as a team, or was there a mentor out there that kind of pushed you a little bit more, make you feel uncomfortable and you're like, okay, I think I can do this? How was that journey?
I think it was a combination of all of them, honestly. Reps, definitely playing club year in the gym for a lot of time. And then coaches too. Like I said, my club coach was super awesome. She actually played at the University of Minnesota when she was younger. So she is very knowledgeable. And then going to Winona and playing for Joe. I've talked to Stasia about this a little bit, but in the moment when I was playing for Joe, he definitely has high expectations for his players, and he held me to the high standard, and I give him most of the credit of the reason I was the player I was. When I was playing for him, I was like, oh, he's so hard on me. And now I've been working camps with him this summer, and I'm like, oh, like I see where it's coming from. Like you didn't mean it that way. You really just wanted me to be better. So yeah, for sure. A lot of all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and even Joe is such a testimony to mental fitness reps and how he communicates with his team now, because he now has fifth-year seniors again who've been with him through the journey, and they're like, he's soft now compared to how he was. And when I walked in the gym, I felt like he was soft compared to when I coached.
Yeah.
So it is an evolution, but I think you're hitting on something really important, which is when we can have empathy for our mentors and for seeing things through their lens of wow, they really just wanted the best for me, even if it was hard to hear, or I wished I could have had a few more like, yep, you're doing it, kind of moments. But underneath all of that, like seeing how they see your highest standard and hold you to it is something that's also really special. And I think it's cool when you can kind of come full circle and see that.
Even as a college player, my confidence definitely grew, but I still think Joe saw a lot more potential in me than I saw in myself. And that's the reason he was holding me to that standard. And by my senior year, I definitely reached that potential. So looking back, I thank him a lot for being my coach that pushed me and held me to that standard.
And I feel like, did you feel like even by your senior year, there was a little bit more of a closeness or a relationship of kind of being a little more shoulder to shoulder maybe with Joe versus like coach athlete?
Absolutely. My freshman year, and you just said this, he definitely has softened the 5 years I was there. Here I was a little scared of him. We were like, oh, Joe, like when he gets mad, whatever. Couldn't really joke around with him, but by my sophomore, junior, for sure junior, senior year, we definitely had a better relationship. And especially with the grade I came in with, since we were there for 5 years, I would say all of us had a really good relationship with him and were able to have conversations about things. And he was really open to having those conversations.
And I think it really goes a long way when you can have that kind of relationship with your coach. And it's really cool to hear how you're coaching and already kind of bringing those things to the table and really seeing the success in your program because of it. And I think that, we keep talking about kind of the new era of coaching, like this generation requires relationship in a way different than other generations. Like when I coached, we would put up with, or when I played, we would put up with almost anything, because if you had a good coach, you were just thankful. Where now it's like, I'm going to another club, I'm going to YouTube, and there's 500 good coaches on there that can teach me how to serve or whatever. It's just a totally different world. So I think we try to really be generational advocates for Gen Z and Gen Alpha and help people recognize like they kind of prioritize relationship over training. And that's different. But then when they have that, they'll work just as hard, I think, as other generations. And that's actually what started the journey with Joe, was that sentence that I said to him, because he was struggling coaching and saying, I can't believe I have to learn how to coach another generation of athletes. And I had a lot of empathy for him. This was like his third generation. He's been around. So I was like, yeah, I get it. And I totally disagree with your assessment of how you see them and how other people see them, because I just see so much intelligence and passion, like you were saying. I mean, that word is like, it is in there, and they lead with that. If they don't feel that, they're like, this isn't worth it. Where we were kind of different. It was like, we worked hard and then felt passion, and it was like, oh, okay, that was fun. So I appreciate the changes. Actually, I think it keeps it light and keeps it different. It's good. Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to what you're creating in your programs, which is culture. And what we coach is creating that safety, but that safety from both sides, right? So I got to be safe as an athlete, so my talent can be welcome to the team. And the same thing for the team, right? We have some kind of system that is safe for us to be ourselves as an athlete. And same with the coaching staff. And when we provide that, that's when the magic happens. Yeah. Because we can all now have many different sources. We can go train and do one-on-ones, or we can go on our own. We have so many resources that we can do that. But when you come to that team, that's what we're looking for nowadays. It's like, well, how's that safety? How's that culture? And then passion comes in, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Joe's going to be here on the show. He's our next guest. Yeah. So,
we're going to grill him hard, Megan. Don't worry. He's going to feel it.
So we got notes for you, Joe.
Yeah, he's on this week. He's so excited about it. So it'll be great to just hear his perspective of his own evolution.
Yeah.
And what's happened for him as a person. Because he definitely will share little sound bites every now and then with me. I'm lucky. I've known Joan for almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. But it's been such a journey with him. And this actually made me think of a question that I wanted to ask you too, because you played Division II volleyball. And I personally feel like Division II gets overlooked and it is very misunderstood. People do not understand the level of how good Division II volleyball is and Division II sports. I had the D1 bug. I went and played D1, and I was like, couldn't believe when I walked in the gym that my club team would have beat my college team, even though I was Division I. Yeah. So I'm wondering if we can kind of plug D2, and if you can share like your decision making around going D2, and like maybe try to paint a picture of how good the level is. Because I remember when I walked into the Winona gym, I was like, holy cow, these girls are legit and really amazing athletes. So I wanted to kind of get your play on that.
I chose Division II because I really didn't ever get recruited or want to go Division I, but I really liked how it's somewhere in the middle. Like, it's super competitive and it's kind of like a job because you just spend so many hours doing it, but it's also, especially in Winona, such a close knit, and it was like a smaller feel, but to still play such competitive volleyball. Like, our conference that we played in when I was there, and probably still to this day, like half of the teams in the conference were ranked top 20 in the entire nation. And a lot of those teams probably could go beat small Division I schools and be super competitive with them. And sometimes I even see athletes who have like played club or played high school, and they go Division I because they want to say they go Division I, and I'm like, oh, but your team is like 2-20, which is fine. Right. To go be competitive Division II. So I do agree that it definitely gets overlooked, but I'm really glad that I chose Division II.
I really wanted to go Division II and things just didn't pan out. But I think it's something, like I said, it needs more looks. It needs more credit, and especially in specific sports. But yes, the conference that Winona is in is so strong. Even you guys yourselves went from unranked in the country to ranked in the top 10. And that was amazing, and setting the program win record. So speaking to all of that, it's like something you know intimately. You did it. You guys built a program. And that was just so fun to watch and experience. So cool.
Yeah.
I know. You worked hard.
It was great. I miss it all the time, but I got to grow up and move on. So
I know. I was just having a conversation with somebody that played Division I water polo today, and we were talking about how it's hard to step off the floor, or in this case, the pool for her, and what that looks like, and how we find our identity outside of sport. I wonder if there's anything else you would say about that as you've transitioned and kind of stayed involved, but also, do you still play? Like, what did that look like for you?
Definitely the first year after I graduated was hard, especially with having friends and teammates that were still on the team. So I'd see they'd be on a bus going to a game and like, oh, I missed that. Like, I wish I was with them. And right now I'm grading papers. But definitely with time, you learn to find different hobbies and things. And I feel like time also helps in general. Just like, even now there's 2 girls on the team that I played with, so I still keep up with them, but I miss it, but it doesn't hurt as bad to miss it, if that makes sense. I sub and play sometimes, but just with coaching and school and all the things, it's definitely time consuming, but I would love to play more. I do enjoy when I go play in sand volleyball games or tournaments and stuff like that. But yeah,
maybe in the summer.
Yeah.
A little bit. Finally, or something. I think that's well said. And I think that's something else that I really love about the Winona program is how the alumni stay connected and stay, like you mentioned, you come back for camps. And I think there's just still a lot of love. Like, if you see a social media post, there's all these alumni that are showing their warrior perp on there. And that just speaks to the culture you guys have built as athletes, and how you guys have bonded together, either because it was really hard to play for Joe or because you really, for the love of volleyball. I think it was both at different times. And so I love seeing that. Like, the community is so tight. And I think that's also, I want to say that that's also part of that D2 mentality, because there is a life balance and they do encourage that life balance. So it's really, I think it kind of goes hand in hand, what you guys have experienced.
Yeah, for sure.
But Megan, any advice that you have for a parent or a young athlete, but let's just say for parents right now of young athletes, how can they best support their athletes on their mental fitness journey, or as they work on reaching their next level?
I feel like something I see right now a lot is burnout from kids. And I might be biased because in high school I was a 2-sport athlete, but I feel like kids nowadays, younger and younger, are specializing, which is great because we have really competitive athletes. So I would just say, like, keep your options open of a whole bunch of things. And I definitely credit being a multi-sport athlete to who I ended up being as an athlete, even though, like, during club season, I was playing basketball and then going to club practice. I think that really helped a lot. Also, from my point of view, giving myself time to take mental breaks, just going from high school to then high school volleyball to high school basketball to club. And then in the summer you have leagues, there's not really time to take a mental break. And even my kids now that I coach, you notice when mentally they're stressed with all the homework they have and practice, and then we have a tournament on the weekend, we have games. So just being okay with advocating for yourself to a coach and saying, I am really swamped on homework, and obviously school always takes priority. So just being an advocate for yourself is honestly what I would say.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's hard, right?
Yeah.
So competitive. We're like, more reps. I need more reps. But as we know, like, the body will work until it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't give it the time, it's gonna take the time for you, right? So it's gonna shut down, and that's when we see injuries happen, or that's when we see, people mentally breaking down for a period of time. It's like, I don't know what is happening, but I can't play.
And I think just like we were talking about for ourselves, like in trying to have that target of I'm going to put aside, even if it's 7 minutes to do like what we were talking about, some breathing, some resetting, some gratitude, some, visualization, just realizing a little bit can go a long way. And I think as coaches, parents, and mentors, also helping athletes recognize that that needs to be a part of the daily landscape,
Yeah.
Whether you're learning that through a mental fitness program or you're, consuming a YouTube video about it, or a coach is just implementing it here and there. I think that it really is a little does go a long way.
Yeah.
And it really does help with some of those things like you were saying, where we can hopefully not get all the way to burnout
Yeah.
at such a young age and still see our ceiling. And I think that's one of the reasons I think we're seeing an increase in mental fitness and mental health and those discussions around that, because we are in a society where we're always on, and
Yeah.
we need to start to plan to be off and not just like Netflix doom scrolling on our phones. That's not off. That's
Yep.
just putting a pause button. So what is off truly, even if it's for even feeling that for 5 minutes, a lot of Gen Z and Gen Alpha athletes we start to work with, they don't even know what off is.
Yep.
When I taught this at the stress and self-management level at college, I would have students tell me they were afraid to stop because they didn't think they would be able to start again.
Mhm.
And so we're dealing with those types of mentalities. And so it's really important that we kind of get a little flexibility in there and a little different
Yeah.
talks in there. And that's obviously like where our passion comes. And we want athletes to feel that fulfillment and that enjoyment and that sustainability of a career, because like you mentioned, you started knowing you were thinking about it at 14, and then because of COVID, you had 5 years. I mean, that's a long window.
Yeah, for sure it is.
Was there any time that you felt like you wanted to be done when you were doing it?
Honestly, no. I would say my first 2 years were hard, just more so not being a player on the court. My second year I played more, but it definitely is harder when you have that. It's more of like a mental struggle. But by my junior and senior year, I feel like I was very motivated, and that really pushed me along, and just wanting to get into the gym and wanting to get better and prioritizing. With that, I prioritized my schoolwork. I prioritized things that were important to me, and really helped with my mental fitness outside of volleyball too.
Yeah, I think after you kind of get exposed to the college mentality, it takes like a year or two to kind of figure out how to find yourself within the system. Because for the first year, especially, it's like drinking through a fire hose. You're just trying to catch up and learn all these new systems and stay afloat with everything that's expected of you. And then I agree, a lot of freshmen end up dealing with that role identification. Like, I'm used to being a starter and now I'm not. That makes sense.
It for sure helped too that the group of girls that I came in with my freshman year are still to this day some of my best friends. So even though those first 2 years, like I didn't really have a role on the court, it was my favorite place to be with all of my friends. So that culture and that family feel definitely helped as well.
Yeah, knowing you belong. That's a big part of it. Megan, I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit about your own mental fitness journey, and why would you recommend athletes invest in mental training as well?
Through my mental fitness journey, it definitely made me feel normal, should I say? Not alone. I kind of talked about it earlier, but just knowing that the feeling of stress and like being anxious about things, I wasn't the only one. Other people are feeling that. And I think building that within a team definitely gives you people that you can rely on and you can go talk to. You can talk to a coach, you can talk to your friend or a captain, and just knowing you belong definitely was a big part in my journey.
You mentioned we came in halfway through. If you could paint a picture like before and after, what would you share about that?
Back to the confidence thing and just awareness of what mental fitness is. Because honestly, before you guys came, didn't really know what mental fitness was. I was just feeling it and kind of on my own island. But once you came in, again, the feeling of belonging and it's okay and it's accepting and it's something that you can work on. And it really did help me as an athlete and as a person, using those strategies as a coach and as a teacher. So it's really helping me in all aspects of my life and just being aware and helping. So yeah.
Megan, thank you for being with us today. It was amazing. Thank you for your knowledge, your journey. I know it's going to help somebody out there, many people out there, knowing about your journey with mental fitness and now as a coach, and continue developing yourself, which is amazing. So thank you for being on the show. We appreciate your time. We wish you the best. And thank you for coming for the Next Level Advantage show.
This is super awesome. Thanks for having me.
It's so cool to see your journey, Megan. And we just are big fans of what you're doing for all these youth and for yourself. And it's like you're showing up. We always say part of our job is to show up for our younger selves. And I feel like you're an amazing advocate for that and just really helping these kids find who they are. We appreciate all the energy you're putting into that.
Awesome. Yeah.
You're awesome.
Bye.